Hi, this is Gwen, your emotional freedom coach and inner child advocate with Your Strongest Life. It's pretty bright out here today, so I hope you guys can see me okay. As I was thinking of the stories, my success stories, so to speak, for working with EFT, I was trying to think of something that might be interesting for some of you. That was my inner child making goofy comments and feeling nervous. So we're just going to say, okay, it's all right, inner child. Little Gwenny, it's going to be okay. So anyway, I was thinking about when I first started doing this work. I was in my training. I rented the video library, the DVD library from Gary Craig, the founder of EFT. And I did hours and hours and hours of watching DVDs with him, tapping with other people on stage and in an audience, and I tapped along with them. And with EFT, we get what we call borrowing benefits. And so like a therapist talks to people all day, and after a while it starts to absorb into their system. And with EFT, I'm tapping along with my clients, and so I'm getting the benefits right along with them, so it's wonderful. But anyway, I was tapping along with these training DVDs, and I went to a bookstore with my friend, and we were going to a class in the upper floor, and I leaned over the balcony to holler at her, and I realized I didn't get that same old familiar sick to my stomach feeling that I've always had about heights. And I thought, that's kind of weird, and I just brushed it off. And then we were somewhere about a week later with escalators. I think it's 3 or 4 stories high escalators, and I thought, I'm gonna check this out. So I went over to the edge of the whatever you call it to look down over the escalators, and I had no sick to my stomach feeling. And I thought, this is very weird. This is amazing. What happened? And so I realized that while I was tapping along with in my training, even though I wasn't tapping on my own issue, I must have been tapping along with somebody who had a similar fear of heights or water or something, because my fear was kind of gone. And so I've always been really afraid of a bridge here in Washington State called the Narrows Bridge in Tacoma. And when I was, well, I'll wait and share that in a bit, but I was always really afraid of it. I would, when we came around the corner, I could see the tips of the trees. I see the bridge above the tips of the trees, and it scared the crap out of me, and my heart would pound, and I'd white knuckle it, and it was just really a painful experience. In fact, my husband's sister lived across the bridge, so we'd plan on going there on a weekend, and I'd have nightmares the night before. I would have a really hard time sleeping. It was really scary. And so I decided that I wanted to see whether I was afraid of the bridge anymore after these experiences about heights. And so we drove across the bridge, and I was like, it's kind of no big deal. Really weird for me. And so we decided to walk across it. Oh, I was going to look up and see how long that bridge is, but it's pretty long. It's got a lot of water going underneath it. And so we made the plans, and we went up there, and we parked, and we started walking, and I kept being a little bit afraid that I was going to be afraid, but I never was afraid. And we walked all the way across it and all the way back, and I leaned over the edge and looked out in the water, and I have a picture here, so I hope you'll be able to see it, of me standing on the bridge, and there's water out there. And it was gone. My fear of the bridge and the water and the height was gone. But then I started realizing that when I was a little kid, my dad used to tell me stories about how he almost drowned when he was little. Lots and lots of stories. And then I also realized that when I was young and in school, elementary school, my phone is shaking, I'm sorry. When I was in elementary school, they showed the video of what they called Galloping Gertie. Because prior to my birth, just shortly before I was born, they built the Narrows Bridge, and there was something wrong with it. And during a windstorm, it galloped and fell down. And they had us watch that when I was in elementary school. And so I started realizing, oh my God, that's why I had been so terrified of that bridge. And so thanks to EFT, now I can drive over that bridge anytime I want, and I have no issue. So EFT is really great for fears and phobias and things like that, that that really, another story's coming up in my mind, and so I think I have how far am I? Okay, so I think I have a few more minutes. I worked with a woman who's a friend of mine who is in her, gosh, I don't know how old she is now, 70s, she's probably in her late 70s. And she told me one day that she was really afraid of walking over the freeway overpasses. And she lives in Seattle, so there's lots of freeway overpasses. And she would have to have someone with her. She would have to wear a sweatshirt with a hoodie and pull it tight around her face. She would have to have someone walk right next to her. She'd have to walk nearly in the center of the overpass so that she couldn't see the cars going underneath. Or in airports too. She flew a lot, and in airports she couldn't do it. It was too scary, and she'd been doing it her whole life, being really afraid of this. So I gave her a tapping session for her birthday because she wasn't really willing to jump in and do it. So I gave her a session for her birthday, and we tapped. And what happened, we actually did 2 sessions. But what happened is she remembered, as we calmed down her brain and the amygdala, the threat response in her brain with the tapping, she remembered a time when she was 6 years old and she went to the movies with her mom and her aunt, and they saw a movie, I believe it's called The Red Shoes, and it was about a ballerina who had red ballet shoes, and they danced her off a bridge. And so we were able to address that with tapping, and talk to her little 6-year-old in her subconscious mind and help her to know that she's safe now. She doesn't have to worry about any shoes dancing her off a bridge. And she's been fine ever since. And so anyway, I love this stuff. It is so cool. And it's, my clients say that 1 hour of EFT equals 100 hours of talk therapy. And because it's mind-body instead of just our conscious mind, that's why it's so fast. So anyway, thanks for letting me share. Have a wonderful day. Bye.